confuses you sometimes when you have to select the right color for your space. Should it be dark? Should it be light? Should it be bright? Should it be dull? Should it be one color? Should it be 10 colors? I'm sure this gets really confusing when you're designing your space, right? Well, I think before you sit into getting to designing your space and choosing the right color for your space, you should first try to understand a little basics about colors, which we actually learned back in the days in school but have not given much importance to. Understanding what colors go well together really helps to understand what could be the right color for your space. So if you want to know little insights about colors, how they work and how you should actually choose the right color for your space, then stay tuned till the end of the video because I'm going to be sharing basic, yes, very important facts about colors you wish you knew earlier. Hi guys, I'm Tani Sixeria, the founder and CEO of Littlem's Designer, a luxury interior design firm. If you're here to find out about the tips, tricks and hacks and anything to do with interior design, then you're at the right place. Have you heard of the color wheel? Well, that's the perfect thing that you need to know if you want to solve all your color related problems. Just as you have a dictionary that solves all the questions about your English, color wheel is the dictionary for all the color related problems. It helps you understand how colors work, what is the right color that complements one another and how to use it perfectly. The color wheel, which was designed by Isaac Newton, gives us so much information about colors. The most basic and important things to understand about colors are, the colors have three types: primary, secondary and tertiary. Primary colors include red, yellow, blue. The secondary colors include orange, green and violet. And the tertiary colors are the ones when you mix primary and secondary colors. So these include the blue-green, the yellow-green, the yellow-orange, the red-orange, the red-violet and the blue-violet, which is a perfect mix of the primary and secondary colors. Primary colors include red, yellow, blue. The secondary colors include orange, green and violet, and the tertiary colors are the ones when you mix primary and secondary colors. So these include the blue-green, the yellow. So the four important phrases about colors which you need to know are: 1. The hue, the saturation, the value and of course the temperature. Now the hue is basically the color position on the wheel, which is the brightest, purest version of each color. And the saturation, also known as intensity, it shows how vibrant a color is. Whereas value, it really shows how dark or light a color is. So for example, if you add a shade of black onto it, it can become darker. And if you add shades of white onto it, it can actually tone down and become lighter. And if you add some shades of grey onto it, it also changes colors. So the variation of how dark or light a color is actually explaining to you a bit more about the value of the color. So the temperature is basically to enhance the warmth and coolness of a color. Of course, individually for each color, this can be a little different, but in general sense, there is a diversion between colors in terms of warm colors and cool colors. But anything that has colors which have more earthy colors, like I would say orange, yellow, red, these are more earthy colors, whereas blue, greens, these are more of the cool colors. So keeping in mind that blue, green, violet are the cool colors and orange, yellows and reds are the warm colors, that's how you define the temperature of the color. The 6 specific ones that I'm going to be talking about are: 1. The monochromatic, 2. The complementary color, 3. The split complementary color, 4. The triadic, and 5. The tetradic, and of course 6. The analogous. So this is really going to be the 6 main bases that you need to use and follow if you want to get the right colors and the right color combinations for your space. The monochromatic is basically when you have one base color being used throughout the space. So this could be any one color which is used from the color wheel, but there are going to be different shades of that same color, or let's say different tones or different tints of it, like darker and lighter versions of that same color. So let's say if you pick the color green, you're going to be using a dark green and a light green and different shades of that green within the same room. There's not going to be too many colors to it. There's just going to be one single base color. So having this in mind, this is a very simple, cohesive and organized color scheme harmony that you can select if you want to have something that's not having too much going on. The second form is a complementary color. Now this is when you choose two colors from the exact opposite sides of the color wheel. So let's say if you choose a blue on one side, then the opposite side of that is actually going to be an orange. So they're completely complementing and completely contrasting each other. So basically when I'm talking about complementary colors, it means that there are two strong contrasts within the same room. So if you want to use a color combination of, let's say, blue and orange within the same room, it would fall under the complementary color scheme. Another example of this would be your red and green. Having a contrast color combination is quite vibrant. So it's a choice that you need to make only if you're going for a very bold contrast and bold look for your entire space. Of course, you can mute this down with other minor colors, but the majority are going to be these two colors throughout the space. Another example 3. The split complementary colors. Now this is very similar to the complementary colors, except that instead of it being bang opposite to each other on the color wheel, it's slightly next to the other one. And this is quite a bold choice, so only make it if you love contrast within your entire space. If you're someone who just likes very neutral spaces, this is not the choice for you. The Triadic one. In this, basically there are going to be 3 colors which you choose from the color wheel, which are evenly spaced in the form of a triangle. Now this is also quite a bold and vibrant choice. For example, the color would be red, blue and yellow, or you could even go for the color combinations of violet, orange and green. The Triadic one. In this, basically there are going to be 3 colors which you choose from the color wheel. So having these color combinations is an option that you can consider if you're going to follow the Triadic color combination. The next one is Tetradic. Now this is very simple. It's actually when you have 4 colors in a rectangle shape and it's made in sets of 2 of the complementary colors. This is a perfect one if you want to have one main color and use the others as a contrast of the accent colors. Now you can actually do this smartly, where you're going to have your one main color. It could be something really bold or really subtle, but I would recommend that your main color should be very subtle, and the other colors which you are using should be very vibrant and contrasting, so that it can actually stand out against this very simple one main color that you've used across the entire space. One is Analogous. Now this is very simple. This is also something that you can use if you're someone who likes like one simple color and all the other colors to be contrasting that. Now the only difference between the Analogous and the Tetradic is that in this case you're going to be having 2-3 colors which you select from the color wheel, which are actually next to each other. So it's a little more simpler and a less little contrasting as compared to the Tetradic. This is also a perfect color combination if you want to use something that is simple, appealing and something that you can last for many years without getting bored of. So if you're someone who's looking for something that's simple, appealing and beautiful, then you should definitely try this specific one. So for example, let's say if I choose one dominant color. This dominant color is, let's say, yellow. Now yellow being very bright, I cannot use it throughout the entire room. So what I go for a tone which is towards the beige shade, and this is going to be the main dominant color for the entire space. Between a beige and an off-white is the perfect tone that you want to use for the main dominant color. Now for example, let's say if I choose one dominant color, this dominant, you have to be smart about it. So let's say to complement this off-whitish cream color, I'm going to go for, let's say, a blue, which is going to stand out really well and complement and contrast it completely. Along with this, I'm going to be using a bit of grey and of course a lot of that gold little highlighters in terms of metals, in terms of my artifacts. So together, having a color combination as the dominant color is my off-whitish cream, and having the other colors which are much more prominent, much more louder and brighter but not used as much are going to be my beige, greys, gold. So do you see how beautiful all 4 of these go well together? Well, this color wheel and understanding colors is what really helped me to achieve this. So let me know what is your favorite color combination and which one you want to try for your room or any space that you're designing. I'm so excited to hear about it. Well, let me know if you have any questions regarding colors. Comment below so I can answer them. I would love to hear which is the color that you've used for your space. And of course, don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and of course hit this notification bell so that you don't miss out on my next video, because I'm so excited to share so many more secrets with you. Thank you so much for watching.